2 weeks ago we were down under in Australia, and now we find ourselves in the heart of Europe, in the Hungaroring, right near Budapest. Welcome everyone to the Simsport Racing International GT4 Championship on ACC, driven on the PC platform. I am your host, Jesse Dodd, new here for the first time. I'm joined by Steve Proudley. He will be handling the broadcast for you today and assist me in commentating. Welcome everybody. Hope you're in... sorry?
I'll say good evening, Jess. Good to have you aboard. Really looking forward to this one, Hungaroring. It's going to be an exciting race this evening, and looking forward to the action, and really happy to have you on board, and looking forward to seeing what you can do this evening, my friend.
Well, I will not be doing anything. I will be sitting in this chair talking about some cars that are really putting in all the work, as they already have been. We're currently about 7 minutes into qualifying, and we're seeing the first lap times roll in. All of these are GT4 cars. If you play ACC, you might regularly drive the GT3s. The GT4s are somewhat slower, but they are no less challenging, especially when with a field as tight as this one. If my co-commentator is to be believed, as he told me ahead of this race, we're going to see an exciting race today.
Yeah, absolutely. You better believe it. I mean, some of the qualifying times that we've had in past rounds have been insanely close. In this league, the GT4s and the GT3s that run alternate weeks. We see Sem Spenkling really stepping the back out there. Andreas Garlin setting a new fastest lap of a 152.254 there. So yeah, that top spot really up for grabs, and just under 13 minutes left of qualifying, Jesse, and we've not seen anything yet. Be prepared for that fastest lap time to be put in the dying moments of this qualifying session in true exciting race fashion.
Of course, with 35 cars out on track, not all at the same time right now, but in general, we're going to see the track evolve and get faster as we go, although it is already on optimum, so maybe I'm completely lying. But we can see people get more comfortable with the conditions, throw the cars around the corners just a little bit faster. They go from banker to a little bit faster, and at the end they will truly try to put in everything they got to take that top spot, which is completely up for grabs. But also, if I look down the grid, the first 3 spots are in their own second, but from 4th all the way down to 16th, we got people within a second of each other. That's going to be very close, and see a little mix there of pro drivers and AM drivers. A huge mix of cars. I see a Porsche, Mercedes. We've got Aston Martins, a single Ginetta, and in P16, of course, a McLaren. And I see someone in P17. I actually noticed that's I'll have to be really careful here. Aaron Martin, Pilkington, has set a second best time, only 0.18 seconds away from Garlin,
yes,
who is currently the fastest driver.
Jesse Spenkling at the moment, who we're watching now, is 4 tenths up. He's actually, as I've said, that commentator's curse, if there is such a thing, has just made him, he's now 3 tenths lost a little bit, but he's going to come out and he's definitely going to be pushing for that second spot. If he can keep that Maserati in a straight line, obviously no traction control, but he takes that second spot, and he's just 0.159 behind that pole position time. And if only he could keep that Maserati pointing in the right direction without lighting that back end up, I'm sure he's got the time in the lap to go faster than Garlin currently on pole. I think Sem's definitely got a couple more tenths in it. Aaron Martin Pilkington sat in 3rd place there, very, very close behind. I expect to see more from Aaron as well, who's currently leading the championship. Again, as we see Sem, he's showboating. He's out there qualifying, but he's having some fun as well.
I saw him in practice, especially him just sliding through corners. Apparently, he makes the Maserati look like an absolute drift car. Looks like a lot of fun. Probably not the best if you do it too much. But P2 only just ahead of Aaron Martin, who is in P3, and Bart Svering currently in P4. Only 3 tenths behind the leader, Andreas Garlin. I assume he's a Swede. I don't know any other language with a circle above the A. And then behind that we see the leader in AM class, Dimitri Schenk. The number 8 Mercedes is 7 tenths behind. It's a bit bigger of a gap for now. Of course, plenty of time to make that gap smaller. And we see 20 drivers right now within 2 seconds of each other. It's a brilliantly close grid.
It is, in fact, it's close, but how long is it going to be close for? Garlin currently 3/10 up as he's coming round to complete another lap, so he's going to put nearly half a second between himself and Spenkelink if he can keep this lap and keep that 2/10 advantage he's got now. He's just lost a tenth, but it's still going to extend his lead at the top at the moment and cement that pole position. And there we have confirmation, 152.107. I think it's going to take a 51 something to beat him now. I think, you know, it's going to be very, very close. The other guys are pushing, but currently there are no green sector times on the board. It is all very much, as we're looking at Diswart coming back out to try again, it's all looking very sort of stagnant at the moment. It's almost like it's time to take a breath, put some fresh tyres on, get a little just enough fuel in now to go to the end of the qualifying session, and then they're going to come out and really hit this track hard, and it's going to get very, very busy very soon. Really, really good to see so many people in the chat this evening. Welcome along. Hopefully we can keep you all entertained. And just a little bit of a disclaimer, Tim Fulbrook is away on other duties this evening, but what a fantastic standing we've got for Jesse, and it's no coincidence that he's Dutch and he can pronounce the names that I can't.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an unfair advantage when you are Dutch yourself in a, well, not predominantly, but a largely Dutch racing group. My favorite factor right now, Steve, is that in P11 and P12 we have two people that have set a 153.769. They are tied on time to the thousandth. And that's 11 and 12. 13, 14, we see it again with a 153.772. They are so incredibly close to each other. We have two back-to-back ties, which I have never seen before.
Look how
anywhere.
Look how many cars are in that 1.6 second mark though. I mean, that's sort of insane, isn't it, in itself? It is so close. The guys at the top are fighting for that top spot, but every single person on that grid is fighting for tenths, even thousandths, just to get that. The smallest of improvement could catapult some people 3 or 4 positions up the grid, and that can make all the difference, especially at Hungaroring, because turn 1, although it's not infamous, it is a heavy braking zone. They do hit it at quite a high speed, and you know it can get a little bit congested, shall we say, on lap 1 when they first run into it.
It's very understandable. Hungaroring is a very difficult track to overtake. It goes in Formula 1, which most people I think know about. The cars are wide in Formula 1. It's not much easier than any other in any other car. It's a very twisty circuit. To really pull a side with someone, you gotta have some guts in there and a lot of control. So a good track position is very important. At the lead we see Lukas, I think currently not improving, probably on outlaps, heating the tires up a little bit. Garlin I think just exited the pits as well, currently leading the qualifying. See Spenkelink currently, I don't know, he's not currently on a lap. And then behind him, people are on the lap, but it's not faster so far. Just warming up the tyres, preparing for a real push lap.
Just looking at Patrick Tractor here, he's normally a little bit higher up the field. He's currently 3/10 up on this lap, so he's looking to improve as he's coming round now to complete this lap. 3/10 will move him up 2 or 3 positions, but Patrick, usually expect to see him in the low teens and sometimes even in the top 10. He's usually does a little bit better. I'm not sure if it's the car, the track, combination, not quite sure, but he's just looking to be struggling a little bit with that McLaren. He struggled there in that final turn to get it turned in properly and looked a little bit loose. He does improve ever so slightly, he's up to 25th, but yeah, it's more to come maybe from Patrick if he can get it all together in the last sort of 5.5 minutes here. It's unusual to see him so far down.
Well, you say that, he just finished his lap and I see him on the straight, just pulled like 3/10 on his time, immediately loses it, unfortunately. But there's definitely a lot of time for him to win. Could very well be a case of not finding the gaps to really push. He's got a little bit of free space ahead of him now. Let's see if he can turn that into a beautiful result.
Yeah, I mean Patrick last season was in a Ginetta as well, so it's a change of car for him. So I'm not sure how much he's done in the McLaren, and it's not the easiest cars. We've seen him running. I've just seen on the other screen there. Sorry, I saw him running really wide as he's pushing very very hard. Currently on your screens is Aaron Martin Pilkington, who's got 3/10 to find. Now we know Aaron on his day is a quick driver. Qualifying, he can do it, but it's not all about qualifying for Aaron. He's shown some great race pace. He's shown some really good racecraft in the first few rounds. Which is why he's leading the championship currently, and he's just got it. At some point, he's going to start thinking about the championship and not necessarily about every single race win. Would you think, Jess?
Yeah, absolutely. If you drive for a championship, it's completely different than trying to win every race. Winning every race means taking risks and trying to put the car where maybe it's not so comfortable. But if you're fighting for a championship, finishing third is a lot more important than finishing first sometimes. Because if you are third and you want to finish first, you risk crashing into two cars ahead of you sometimes, especially on a track like this. It's very hard to overtake. You don't want to make a do or die action just for that the top step of the podium, because you will risk falling back a lot further, especially with a field this tight and a track this packed. Just going off track can mean losing 5 positions or worse.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he has closed the gap up a bit. He's now only 0.183 seconds off. He's into that second place, and he's closed the gap on Garland. But as I said, I think someone's going to have to really sort of smash it out of the park to beat Garland now. But don't discount Pilkington. Currently, he's equaling his best time. A little bit too much curb there. Saw the car get very unsettled. It's all about being clean, concise, and as accurate as you can, and most of all smooth. Smooth equals lap time, and he's got some to find. He's currently a couple of tenths down, but more importantly, Spenklik behind him's on a hot lap. He's on a fast lap, and he's looking to have gained around about a tenth. So he could be stealing that second place back if Aaron doesn't pull it out of the hat.
Yeah, I do see Spenklik immediately losing his advantage, but it seems to be for a case of him finding some time, but making a mistake immediately after. Like it's so difficult because you want to brake a little later, but if you do it too late, you will lose some time on exit. You want to go slow in, fast out, but it's so hard when you're fighting for that top position, and the differences are so small.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the nature of the car, isn't it? With Sem, he's got the time in hand. We know he's got the speed, but it's keeping this Maserati, as we can see from the steering inputs. I'm thinking we're going to see some opposite lock around this final corner, but it's just keeping it all in check. See a little bit of understeer there, waiting for the front end to bite and just feeding the power on there, and there you have it, the opposite lock on corner exit. That's costing him time. That is costing him a lot of time, but he's moved back into that second place, and look how tight that top three are now. Jesse, they are really, really close, but Garland currently he's trying to improve on his lap as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I noticed with Sam, he's starting to tame the car a little bit. The corner exit on the last corner looked a lot more controlled and a lot more smooth than he has done previously. And if you paid attention to the delta, you could see that it just reduced as fast as it possibly could. He's getting better at it. The car is still very slidey, and he still needs to learn to control it a little bit better in order to get that pole position. But he's got a little bit more time. I think after this lap, he's got one more lap to make it happen, because we are nearing the end of qualifying.
Yeah,
and
that last
is currently on his last lap.
He is indeed, because Garland actually went over track limits on that one. He went over the line with a slightly faster lap time, but it didn't count because it was a dirty lap, as we call it. But he's got, like you say, he's out there for his last go around now. This is it. He just needs to consolidate if he can, maybe look to extend it. But he is in the pound seat, as we Brits say. He's in control of this one at the moment. He's got that provisional pole. Spenklik currently on his lap is about 4/10 down. Pilkington's in the pits, so he's not going to do any more. Zerwink, if I pronounce that right, if I pronounce it wrong, I'm really sorry. He's half a second down, so he's got a lot to find, and in fact, he's gone back to the pits. So really, now it's just down to Spenklik. But I'm looking at Spenklik's lap time on the timing board, and he's 7/10 down. Just a quick reminder to everybody in chat as well, Jesse, just the Pitwall Live is actually up there. We are streaming the live timings there, so if you wanted to go on there, have a look and look at what we're looking at, you can see the sector times, you can see the lap times, and during the race you can see everything that we can and lots more.
A bit of a heartbreak there for Andreas Garlin. He was putting a really solid lap, really pushing for it, and almost 2/10 up, and then makes a mistake coming out of the long right-hander, and unfortunately loses all his improvements. Sam was slow last lap, but it was definitely a setup for this lap where he's starting to push, at least matching his time right now. Early days, because he's in turn 4, I believe, if I count correctly. No, it's turn 3. Now he's in turn 4. He's improving slightly. If he just keeps that up for this lap and finds where he makes a mistake and improve on that, then he might take pole here. It's not done yet. Maybe Martin and Zwering have pulled into the pits, as many other people have. But for Sam, it's all to fight for.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just looking at Denise Pope now. She down in 23rd. She'll be disappointed with that, but she won't have written anything off. She's shown some good, solid race performances this season and last. Indeed, last season, getting up into the top 10 with the Ginetta as well. But she's ever improving, is Denise. She's always trying, and at the moment she's 4/10 up, so she's looking to climb that grid and maybe, just maybe, get into that sort of into the teens, somewhere around 17th, 18th, if she can carry this 4/5/10 through. Just coming up to the final few corners now, it'll be all crucial. She's 6/10 up now, so she is gaining time. She's going to be a good lap time from Denise. She's really pushing hard, and she's doing it when it matters, when nobody else can retaliate.
Yes, Denise is improving a lot, and so is Jonathan Earl, a couple of places behind. Also about 7/10 up just a moment ago. I think he loses a little bit to traffic, but Denise comes across the line to finish a lap. And for 23, she goes to 13th. That's an excellent improvement. All the way from, well, quite a disappointing 23rd, all the way to 13th. Really up there to fight for some solid points. Excellent performance. And we see that Garlin has secured pole position, and Sam unfortunately invalidated his lap at the end, so he did not improve, has to settle for second.
So what was your what's your opinion of the SSRI GT4 Championship, experiencing it for the first time? That was qualifying. Any thoughts on that one?
Well, I think the quality of driving is quite high. I see a lot of sliding. I will admit I have no experience in GT4s because I haven't bought the DLC, quite frankly. But it's really interesting to see how close the grid is, and if you see a grid this close, there's some logic that says these have to be very solid drivers, at least very good drivers at most. And you see like several, like again we have, I think maybe it's the same people, but we have 2 back-to-back ties again in the final results. It's so amazing to see people be so close together.
Yeah, absolutely, it is, and with 30 odd cars on the grid as well, it's definitely going to be one to watch, shall we say, as they do head into that first turn, into turn 1 for the first time. It will be an awesome sight, and it'll be very interesting to see if they come out of there as they go in. But they are now on the grid, and with a countdown of just over, well, just 1.5 minutes left to go before the race starts. It's pre-race nerves, double checking all the setups, making sure you've got everything right, and no real strategy to think about. It's just a 60 minutes lights to flag race, no mandatory pit stops. If you are pitting, you're at a disadvantage, you're giving yourself a handicap, so it's all about staying out of trouble, looking after the tyres, and hoping you've put enough fuel on board, I think, Jesse.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, enough fuel. Some people might even overfuel just a little bit, just to make sure, because really stopping, it costs you so much time. You really don't want to do it. It's only 1 minute left. We're going to see some very close racing, so let's hope we don't get any incidents. And if we do, we'll probably see some people actually pull into the pit, because driving with damage is not very pleasant around here. Leave over a rolling start, and after that 1 hour, straight up racing, all close together, very tight field. Just stay here, just keep watching. Just an hour, get a bag of crisps. You've got, I think, the formation lap to get it. Get a drink, alcoholic or not. It's going to be an amazing race.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely awesome, and these guys don't disappoint. You know, we'll see some jostling for position. The man to watch for me, if I can give you a little bit of inside information, is Sem. Now, he's got a difficult car this season, but he is a driver that if he gets some space, if you give him some headroom and he can get a gap at front, so if he can hit Garlin and get past him, then he can make a break for it. But don't discount Aaron Martin Pilkington. In fact, don't discount anyone in the top 10 from coming through and being on the podium at the end of this race, because they are all very, very capable drivers. They have all got great racecraft, and they will certainly make each other work hard for every position that they have tonight.
Yeah, and if you want just a quick illustration of how intense the fight at the front is gonna be, the top 2 drivers currently in the standings are Aaron Martin and Bart. They are currently in P3 and P4. That's where they start. So they will each have 2 cars to pass at least, and they have to fight each other. So I don't know how they're gonna manage that. They probably both want to think about a championship and not just throw the car where it doesn't need to be. But it's going to be close. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah, for sure it's going to be difficult. But as we said, I think, Aaron, we interviewed him at the last round after he had a couple of good results. And he sort of said he was taking each race as it comes, one race at a time. But I think he will have one eye on Bart, where Bart is, because he knows that he's his main rival at this moment in time. But don't get me wrong, the guys ahead of him can still win the championship. It's all very wide open at this moment in time. It's a fairly long championship. There's quite a few rounds to go. Nothing's in the bag, but I think Aaron needs to look at consistency. And if he can be in the top 3 every week, then that's where every round that's where he needs to be.
Yes, exactly. And Bart, I'll quickly right. He's only 20 points behind in the championship. He's definitely gonna want to finish ahead at least. To take about 5 points away from him if they finish high enough in the standings. But of course, you can't risk a collision there, you can't risk an incident. It's going to have to be just as careful, and it's got a whole hour to make it happen.
Absolutely, yeah. Patience, isn't it? It's all about consistency, racecraft and patience, and not trying to throw it all up at the inside. At the first corner, just try and get through the first few laps. Everybody settle into a rhythm, hit your groove, and see where you shake out, and then just work from there and build on your position, build wherever you are, just try and build and go forward. If it looks like Garlin and Spenkling are going to battle too much, Bart and Aaron will probably be just best to sit back and let them battle. Unless there's a big pace disadvantage, I can't see it, but yeah, they just want to stay out of trouble. They want to get some good results and just consolidate their championship positions at the moment and keep moving forward.
Yes, and we see the drivers line up double file, which means they're about to go green. Just one corner left to go for the leaders, and we see the whole pack on one screen. It's such a big pack of cars. So many drivers are going to be close together. As I said, make sure you're settled. And make sure you're looking at the screen right now, because we're about to go racing. He's coming around the final corner. And any time now, we'll see the lights flash green, and we'll go racing. And there we go, the green light signal has been given, and we see, I think, Garlin having a decent start. But we see the Maserati pull aside, may want to brake late. And Maserati does have a better start, pulls up ahead, and they let each other live, but unfortunately goes a little bit wide. And we see Garlin immediately fight back, take the position, but it's so close. There's no space essentially there for the Maserati, but he keeps it there. Sticks to the inside of Aaron Martin, I believe that is, and he keeps the position. Garlin has the inside for this corner. Oh, it's so tight there with 2 cars. Oh, and he sticks it around. Sam Spenkling in the Maserati has somehow overtaken Garlin. Oh, the whole leaderboard is going insane. But once it sorts out, we see Spenkling at the top, the number 1 Maserati. Excellent overtake around the outside there. And we see Aaron Martin Plinkton in P2 has also overtaken Garlin. That's excellent for his championship. And he's going to want to chase Spenkling down for the rest of this race to even get this finish. What is it? The 50-point finish in P1.
Yeah, absolutely. Some fantastic driving there. Lots of respect shown. But Sam Spenkling really getting to grips with that Maserati in the opening laps there. Potentially it's difficult. We're seeing Pilkington having to defend now from Garlin, who we're riding on board with. But Pilkington, really opportunistic, followed Sem and went round the outside of Garlin also. So Garlin lost 2 places in quick succession there, and he won't be happy about that at all.
I won't be happy, but it's a lot better than crashing out, and I feel like these drivers have put in a lot of effort on keeping this clean, and that goes not only for the top 4 but for the whole grid. I right now see no obvious mistakes made, as I do see someone having made a mistake now, but I believe that's
Lee Mosley.
Yeah, Lee Mosley, just small lapse of concentration maybe. It's fallen back a little bit, but otherwise a very clean start from everyone, as we see Spankling having to deal with pressure from Aaron Martin immediately behind, Garlin falling back a little bit behind, and Bart Svering will want that position as well. He's going to fight for it. Aaron Martin's extremely close to the Maserati ahead. He can practically smell the gearbox from there. Goes a little bit wide. Unfortunately, that means he will lose some time. And well, for sector 2, it's going to be very hard to overtake unless Spankling makes a mistake somewhere.
Oh, look at Sem there, real full drift sideways, absolutely fast and furious. Sem Spankling there, really hanging the tail out. But tell you what's just hit me there with Aaron Martin Pilkington. He's made 2 mistakes in 2 laps where he's exceeded the track limits by quite some margin and kept his foot in. So I'm just wondering if he's up to 2 track cut warnings already at this stage in the race. If he is, he's going to be treading on eggshells for a very long time.
Yeah, 1 hour of a race is you've probably seen longer with endurance races, but it is a long time to keep your concentration, and on a track like Hungary, it is quite difficult to keep that concentration the whole way through. It's going to have to be really careful, as a penalty could I believe it's a drive-through for excessive track cutting. That's going to be a massive loss if he cops that penalty. He wants to avoid it at all costs.
Yeah, let's just see what Aaron can do now. He got a little bit of a better drive out of the final corner. Sem sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:53.3. Aaron Martin Pilkington is not letting go. He's been within half a second. He's really pushing, and we see Aaron Martin Pilkington actually set the fastest lap with a 1:53, give or take. Dead. Sem full crossed up again. Now Sem is really struggling, Jesse, in that Maserati. He's doing a fine job of holding on to that lead, but you can sort of feel that he's fighting a losing battle. I mean, he's going to be putting so much stress through those rear tyres. The temps are going to be going through the roof, not to mention the tearing on the tyres. He's going to start losing grip, and things, if he carries on driving it like that, things are only going to get worse.
Yeah, well, it's going to become a question of, is Sem struggling with the Maserati, or is the Maserati struggling with Sem? Because he seems to like throwing this car around this corner, these corners like that, and well, as long as he can keep it stable for the rest of the race, it's all good. You do not want those tyres to warm up too much, because the car will become drivable, and then it doesn't matter what chassis is around it. If the tyres are too hot, the car will not drive. Oh, and behind there we see Garlin trying to make a move around Aaron Martin. Well, it's kind of impossible to do it there, but he was extremely close. Aaron Martin must have made a small mistake there, just enough for Garlin to catch up. And well, he's staying close to these drivers. He's quite low in the championship. Had to scroll down for him, but Andreas Garlin is putting up an excellent fight here after taking pole. He has lost a couple of positions, but he's sticking right there with the top 2 and ready to fight them.
I think you've just coined a new phrase for Garlin. This is his new tagline: had to scroll down. Garlin really pushing hard. He's 3/10 off the back of Pilkington at the minute, who, like you say, he's just lost a little bit of time on Spankling. He's got that gap up to a second as Sem, and hopefully maybe with Aaron just off at the back of him a little bit now, maybe Sem can bring things under a little bit more control. Just maybe put the car where he wants it and control the car rather than trying to slide it around all the corners. But we see Aaron really closing up under the brakes there. Obviously the Maserati just a difficult beast under braking with the lack of ABS, but that BMW in Aaron's hands is a missile, and he's closing that gap up again. Sem's going to be under pressure very soon, but yeah, Garlin making a mistake there, running a little bit deep. Looks to me at this stage in the race as though Pilkington is the quickest man out there. He's pulled away from Garlin again, closed back up to Sem. I think if they aren't careful, if he does get past Sem, then Pilkington could pull away from this after behind.
Yeah, it's not an enviable position to be in Aaron's car right now. because you got to decide what are you gonna do. Are you gonna keep on fighting as hard as you can and will risk making mistakes and losing places? Are you gonna stay behind for a little bit, accept maybe a second of a gap, and then fight back later when the tires are maybe a little bit more in your favour? It's a lot of calculations you have to make.
Yeah, we just got a car there. It looked like Dimitri Schenk just turning the wrong way. And indeed, yes, he's just parked it at the moment, waiting for a safe time to rejoin, but all the time hemorrhaging position, so that's obviously a mistake from him. A little bit of a spin, but it's cost him dearly. And yeah, the midfield though at the moment, look at this, absolutely battling contact there, side by side, but that's 4 cars going in 2 by 2. One of those is Bas Van Melis, who's holding Denise Pope's in there. She's fighting with Bass at the moment, side by side. That's not going to work, but somehow they make it work, and they're really pushing hard for these positions, Jesse.
Yeah, excellent fight there. Nice keeping the position or claiming the position. Who knows what happened there? But Bas Van Melis came out on top, currently in P13th in the Porsche. He's an M-Class driver. He's doing an excellent job against his pro drivers. Proper job. Obviously, Denise Pope after qualifying 13th with an excellent improvement. Side by side right now with Lewis. And unfortunately, I think has to concede the position. And another one as Sjouke Vervat passes through as well. And Denise Pope bleeding a couple of positions, but keeping it clean. It's plenty of time to fight back, truly. You've got 50 more minutes. Just keep it cool, keep it collected, keep it calm, make no mistakes, and hopefully she'll be able to fight back a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Things settling down at the front now, but where they aren't settling down is right here with Danny Duswart just taking a place away from Sandra Vale. I think that was he's just passed. The timing tower will sort itself out as they pass the next sector, but he got that move done fairly cleanly and fairly swiftly. It got past up into 7th place, and he's pushing as well. Danny Duswart, he was 2, nearly 3/10 faster than Jordi Bakker, who is now in front as well. So expect to see Danny Duswart moving forward. He's on the pace and he's pushing hard. But the boys up at the front, ladies and gentlemen, where our attention needs to be back at is Aaron Martin Pilkington, Sem Spenklink are trading lap times. Sem's last lap time was at 1:52.9, Pilkington's was at 1:52.8. So they are looking like they are sort of settling down a little bit. But they're still battling hard and really going to go for it. But I think, for me, I think the Maserati is going to be harder on the tyres, and I think that the tyres that might play into Pilkington's hands before the end of this race.
It's going to be a challenge for Sam to keep his tyres under control then. Try to save them a little bit. You are at the front, you don't have to, well, you will have to defend, but you don't have to try to find a gap next to someone. And I see a massive slide again. Tokyo drifting through turn 3 again. It appears what he likes to do, Sam, in that Maserati. But that's going to be really hard on the tyres, and you have a lot of time. You need to drive for a long time on these tyres, so you can't really afford to do that. And just like that, Aaron Martin makes up a lot of time. He's now right behind, again smelling that gearbox from Sam. Gonna wanna get past because I think he thinks that if he does get past, he can drive away a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think like we keep saying, I think Sem's doing a great job in that car, but I think it's stacked against him at the moment. The way it looks so loose, it's just not gonna last. They're going to be killed, literally. I mean, Kieran in the chat says those tyres are going to be killed by the 45-minute mark. I think you're being kind there, Kieran. If he keeps drifting it like he is at the moment, I think he's going to struggle to get to the 30-minute mark without losing some serious amounts of lap time. Pilko just needs to keep doing what he's doing. He's got a good gap to him and Garlin, and I think he's got the pace on Garlin at the moment. Needs to just keep making Sem work hard, keep pushing him, keep that pressure on him, and Sem will keep drifting, as we just seen there. Pilko is holding that tighter line as Sem's really struggling to get the Maserati turned in, and it looks like Pilkington's got a good drive out of that final corner now, so it's going to be interesting. The thing for Pilko though now is Bart Zeewink, he's now dropping back in 4th place. There is a little bit of time between them, there's a good bit of daylight, as you can see there on the screen, as Pilkington closes right back up on the back of Sem now, and almost is trying to push it up the inside, which is going to put him on the outside for the next corner. And that's a dangerous position to be in, Jesse, with that Maserati so loose through the corners.
Yeah, absolutely, but if you can keep a wide line, if you can keep it on the throttle, maybe here you have an opportunity to stick it on the inside, but it's so tough around there, and he doesn't manage to stick it. Probably a little bit frustrated. I think he really wants to get past that sliding Maserati. I think, well, he hasn't been making the same mistakes as Sem, so I assume his tyres are currently in much better condition. He's really going to want to fight to get past there, and I feel like we're going to see this lap after lap until Aaron finally gets past Sem.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, I think Aaron's just putting the pressure on. Aaron's a very calculated driver. He's very, very experienced. He's many seasons of racing behind him, and he will know what he's got to do. He's just got to keep that pressure on. He knows how to win races, but as we said before, he's in a position in the championship where he just needs to finish ahead of Bart and just keep building on the results, and you know, if he stayed second, that would do him. He will, don't get me wrong, he's going for the win, he's going to try and win it, and every fibre in his body at this moment in time is telling him he's going to win this race, and that is why he's putting the pressure on Sem. That's why he's doing what he's doing. So he's a great performance so far. Sem, I think he's the driver of the day at the moment. Entertainment value 10 out of 10. It's just whether his car's going to last, or more importantly his tyres are going to last the full 60 minutes or without losing him some serious lap time to the guys behind him, and more importantly Aaron Martin Pilkington.
Yeah, it's excellent entertainment value at the start, but if he's not careful, it's going to be excellent entertainment value at the 45-minute mark, with his putting his car in the wall, if he's not careful. So he's going to want to really save those tyres now and try to keep that Maserati under control. And Aaron is just going to stay there. I think he's quite happy. I think he knows the tyres are going off. He can see the car sliding right ahead of him. And if you see that, even if you're in the lead of the championship, even if you know, okay, I just need to finish second, I'll be fine. I'll probably win the championship if I just keep doing that, and my direct rival is 2 places behind me. That's fine and all, but if you're so close to the car ahead of you, you're gonna want that win. And if you know you can take it, he's so close behind. Unfortunately, there's just no space in this sector here. So he's gonna have to stay so close behind and try to make a move after the last corner into the first corner.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really pushing at the moment. He's trying his damnedest to get caught up, and he's like I say, he's doing a good job. I mean, I'm just wondering in chat, is anybody brave enough in the chat to predict a podium right now? Who's going to win this race, or even just who's going to be on that final podium? Doesn't matter what order, just put in chat who you think's going to be on this podium. We've got 45 minutes of this race left, but we've got a really good idea who's pushing at the moment, how hard they're pushing, and I think we can make some guesses. I'm not going to say anything, I'm unbiased, but it'd be interesting to see what chat think.
Gonna be very interesting. Of course, very nice to see everyone from different streams, if I'm informed correctly. So apparently 2 YouTube streams running. Thank you for joining us here. See Anthony making a prediction. Apparently he doesn't include Sem. Is Sem really going to fall back? Well, I guess we're going to see, and it's going to be interesting to see if Sem can hold on to first place, then a podium. It's going to be interesting, and we have.
Yeah, Aaron's really pushing, isn't he, Jesse?
Yeah, he's almost pushing that Maserati through the corners, and that's how it looks from a distance, maybe. He's so close, but it's so tough to find a place to overtake here. He's going to have to find a brilliant exit somewhere if it's not going to be on the start-finish straight. He's just like for like through the corners, turns left when the Maserati does, and makes the corner almost the same. It's this is as close as cars can be without it being a serious risk. is keeping it really consistent. All credit to Aaron for providing us with a brilliant view here of these two battling.
Just going to go to the roof cam now and see if we can get some action shots on the mobile cam as Aaron maybe gets up close and personal as they enter some of the braking zones. We're hoping that he's going to get alongside maybe on the straight under the slipstream and show us some action into turn 1, but so far after 8 laps, Sem has managed to defend everything that Aaron has thrown at him. Aaron's kept him under a lot of pressure, kept him relatively honest, but Sem's doing a great job. He's keeping that car relatively under control. I say that tongue-in-cheek, exclamation mark, but he's doing a great job so far. And yeah, it looks like this time that Aaron's going to be too far behind to do anything about it, unless Sem runs deep or locks up under braking going into turn 1 this time.
Yeah, and despite all this, we do see Aaron braking very late, almost pulling alongside, but thinks better of it. Doesn't stick it there. Sem a little bit slow through turn 1, it seems, and we see Aaron looking to the inside. There's no move there, unfortunately, but Sem outbrakes himself, slides a little bit. Aaron right beside him. Unfortunately, it's not quite enough. Maybe a switchback, looks to the inside, and there's no space there, but he is faster on this straight. Goes to the right. Ooh. Sam with a cheeky cutoff there. Very good defending, very solid, but his car is on the limit, and I think a little bit over it. Aaron's going to have the advantage for the rest of the race, and is doing very well to keep this fight clean.
Absolutely, I mean, that was bravery from both drivers there, because at the end of the day, you know, it would have just taken a small mistake from Sem and it could have wiped Aaron out. Putting that car on the outside of the Maserati, for me, is not the best thing to be doing. I mean, you've got to take your opportunities, you've got to make your opportunities, but Aaron's doing what he does best. He's putting him under pressure, and I think he needs to do that, but don't try and force the pass around the outside. For me, just maybe a risk too far, because that could take both of you out of the race.
Yeah, that's exactly why I pulled out, I think. Some passes are just not on here, but you do want to keep up that pressure, and that's to show, hey, if you make a mistake, I am right here to take that position. And just constantly showing that you are relentless, that you are going to profit from any mistake. And Sem is going to have to keep his head cool for another 41 minutes somehow to keep Aaron behind. It's going to be a hell of a task.
Yeah, absolutely, but interestingly behind as well, I'm just noticing Bart's catching up to Garlin as well and putting him under pressure, so we've got a battle for 1 and 2, 3 and 4. It's this is it. Pilko's got the inside line, he's got to get the move done this time. There's no defending from that as he pushes Sem out wide to give himself a bit of room, bit of contact there, side by side through that corner. Aaron's going to come out in front, but Sem does not give up. He's on the inside, he's got the inside. Pilko just needs to keep that right foot hammered into the floor and just keep that BMW moving forward. He's got the position now. Is he going to hold it as they head into the left-hander? Flat out over the curbs, and that's it. That's position gained. What a move. What driving from both guys there.
He is excellent, and they kept the fight going throughout the entirety of Sector 1. Fortunately, Sam making a little bit of a mistake, and that's all Aaron needed. He's been showing the whole time, hey, if you make a mistake, I am right here to take that first position from you. And he has shown it. One too many mistake from Sam, and Aaron ahead, but Sam evidently not giving up. And I see the guys behind, Andreas and Bart, they are both catching up a little bit with these two fighting, and they're gonna want a taste of that P1 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron just needs to weather this little bit of a storm now that he's got in front. He needs to drive clean, just hit his braking markers, turning on the apexes, get the car through clean and smooth, because we know with Sem pushing, he's going to light that back up a little bit. He's going to be loose, and once Aaron gets a little bit of daylight, once he can get himself out of that half-second danger zone, then I think we'll start to see Aaron pull away. As we can see him pushing. Aaron is pushing hard, running really wide there into the final corner, but he's going to be desperate to get a drive out of there. Not as desperate as Sem, though, as we saw him light up those rear tyres yet again. And he's looking in the background, Bart is looking to get a run on Garlin, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. Maybe not. He's running off to defend as we're watching them now, but he's not got close enough to do that, and Pilko also maintains the lead out in front. So I think this lap, by the end of this lap, I think Pilkington will have broken that toe from Sem, and I think he'll be over half a second in front, and we'll start to see Pilkington consolidate his lap times and build on that lead, and then Sem will be looking over his shoulder, I think, at Garlin and Zeewink, as long as they don't slow each other up too much with the battling that's going on right now.
Well, it is a very hard battle between what is it, Bart and Andreas, excuse me. And Andreas unfortunately starts to make a couple of mistakes. Gives Bart all he needs, all the invitation he needs to pull alongside. But Andreas somehow keeps it on the inside, on the hairpin. There's small little bit of contact, but it's all fair. Andreas keeps the position for now. It's going to be very difficult. We saw Bart earlier on the straight, almost threatening to pull alongside. We saw Andreas respond, and unfortunately they pushed him in just enough of a mistake for Bart to start really putting the pressure on and almost finish an overtake. Excellent driving from these two, as Sem still extremely close to Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely. Sem's still putting the pressure on. He's not in striking distance, but he's still putting the pressure on. These guys are currently closer. Just touching on something that Dave Hedges has put in the chat, he's saying that the Mazda is actually pretty decent on tyres if you don't lock them up. That's fine if you don't lock them up, Dave, but what if you light them up? Because Sem's been lighting those tyres up since the green lights went out and they started racing, so he's had a good 20 odd minutes of sideways action around a lot of these corners, so surely the heat must be taking some of the life out of those tyres. Kieran Vidago also says Pilko is an absolute legend. Yeah, agree with you there. He's a champion. It's a championship in the making. He's being very, very sensible with this championship. He's doing what he needs to do. We're just seeing on my other screen there that that's the mistake that Pilko was looking for. Sem ran very wide into turn 1, and that's just really opened up the gap now to that half second. Sem still pushing hard, riding the curbs, getting the back end out on the Maserati, but I think it's all to no avail now unless Aaron makes a mistake, which I don't think he will. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders now, and he'll just basically start to build on those lap times. He'll push, but not too hard. He'll just try and build on what he's got now.
Yeah, we see Aaron pulling a little bit of a gap there. Credit to Sem though. I thought he would fall away immediately, but he's kept it quite close for a little bit. Now it's going to be a little bit difficult to stay close because he's about a second behind. Well, maybe he's just, he could also just be gathering himself a bit, saving his tires a little bit. Maybe he'll be able to go for another attack later. We see the gap to Andreas also having been extended to almost 2 seconds. And Bart right behind him there.
Yeah, but the man on the screen at the moment is De Swart, and he's really pushing now, trying to make a move forward, and he's trying to carry on. I said earlier on he was closing up on Jordi Bakker, and he is doing so still. He's closing up, and he's within 3/10 of him. In fact, I think he's even closer than that now. He's pushing hard, and he's pulling out the slipstream. He's trying to unsettle the Aston Martin in front of him, and he's trying to make that Mercedes as big as possible to make him have one eye over his shoulder and unsettle him.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to see it all go down on the start-finish straight, I think. Unfortunately for Jordi, because that Mercedes is looking really good. It's really close, tucked in. If he gets earlier on the power, he's right in the slipstream. Right now, Jordi has the speed advantage, but as the slipstream starts working, we see the Mercedes matching the speed. Probably going to start looking for an overtake. Looks on the inside. Jordi thinks it's nothing. Calls the bluff, and I think he's right for now. But De Zwart right behind keeps looking for the attack, and behind there we see Sander also getting involved in this fight. It's going to be an interesting little battle here.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be interesting. I'll keep you all updated with the other battles as they happen. Just to confirm, though, at this moment in time, we've got Aaron Martin and Pilkington just over 1 second in the lead from Spenkelink, with Garland in third, 2.2 seconds behind Spenkelink. Baz Ewing 3/10 off the back of that podium slot. So he's close, but he's not quite close enough yet. I am keeping an eye on it on another screen. I will bring the action as it happens, but at the moment he's looking a little bit unsettled, he's looking a little bit untidy, he's taking a lot of curbs and it's costing him time. I think he's potentially got the lap time to catch Garlin, but I don't think he's just not quite tidy enough at the moment, as we see De Swart making a move here up the inside, trying to force the matter, but it doesn't quite work, and he's having to pull back in behind, and he's also having to look over his shoulder, because while he's attacking, he's being attacked as well. He is the meat in the sandwich right now, but he's doing a good job of putting Jordi Bakker under pressure and trying to get that P6 away from him.
Yeah, Jordi really trying to defend, but unfortunately, here he just turns in into the Zwart, and unfortunately the pushes him wide also lets Sander by. Well, not without a fight. He's on. Oh, and there is contact. There is contact. We see Jordi go on the grass, and we see Sander, well, having to rejoin right behind, losing control of his car. And meanwhile, the big winner here is Danny De Zwart, who is, I think, about 4 seconds away from these boys fighting here.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got the road now, and he's now going to be looking to try and close what is a 3.5 second gap down to Peter Vanya in front, and that's not going to be no mean feat, as that Porsche isn't slow. Just looking at the lap times, their best lap times, we'll disregard the last laps because obviously De Swart was in a battle, but their best lap time De Swart was a 1:53.4, Peters is a 1:53.8, so there is about half a second in lap times on a best. So De Swart's got the pace, it's whether he can do it consistently lap after lap. But we're going to go back to the front now, or shall we say for that final podium spot, because Garlin and Zeewig are close on track again. It's looking like, but you see what I mean? Like, Bart's just taking too much curb, he's unsettling that car, and I think he's just trying to push that a little bit too hard.
Exactly, he's going to maybe be a little bit comfortable with the dirty air there, following so close on this car, or on this track I should say. Yeah, it's gonna have to find his consistency, find his pace, and just keep it cool. It's still half an hour. We've already had half an hour. She's gonna have to wait for Garlin to make a mistake, I think, almost, and otherwise maybe even settle for P4, because it's so difficult. Or he has to find a way to really create an opportunity into turn one. It's really difficult. And I saw further behind with the battle we were just seeing between Sander and Jordi, as I'm getting hang on, my doorbell.
No worries, we're just going to switch now further down. We've got Abranoza in 9th place, who is actually catching up to Xandra Vale and Jordi Bakker right now, and he was the big winner from their little coming together, because that's closed the gap right up now, and it's put the BMW in prime seat position, potentially for jumping 2 positions here. He's in the slipstream, he's going to hang on to the back of them now, and he's going to get towed along his start-finish straight, and he's closing up, he's within 4 tenths, and that gap's getting smaller and smaller. He's potentially going to look for an inside move. I don't think he's quite close enough now. He thinks better of it, pulls back into the line and follows them round T1, but he has gained from that. Not only has he gained, we've got Patrick Wants just behind as well, and the Pro-Am leader of like in 11th place in the Mercedes as well, so great performance from him tonight, moving up the field. But yeah, Abranoza looking like he's in the prime seat for gaining a couple of positions if they come together again in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's good pressure on who is it, Jordi, to keep it clean, and Sander is gonna want a clean overtake. He's just been in a collision, probably a little bit frustrated. If I know anything about drivers, that is saying when I drive myself. If you've been in a collision,
shock
probably
horror.
A little bit frustrated.
Jesse, sorry to interrupt, mate, but look at this. Oh. We've got Spenkling attacking Pilkington again. Pilkington, not quite sure what's happened, but something's happened on this lap, because last lap he was 2 tenths quicker than Sem, but this lap Sem has closed up well over a second, and he's right back in it. He's back onto Aaron Martin Pilkington. As we cut to him, what you didn't see was Spenkling was trying to force it up the inside, so not only had he caught him, he was actually trying to put a move on him. Pilko needs to regroup and go, and whatever that mistake was. In fact, let's have a look at lap times as they go around. Yeah, his last lap was a 1:54.2, so he was like literally a couple of seconds almost, well, it's a good second and a half off his best lap time, so that's really cost him dear there, and it's allowed Sem back into the hunt. But I think what he's done it once, he'll pull away again. I think he's got the pace to do that, but he just needs to avoid those mistakes.
Well, it's a question of what the mistake was. If the tires are cooked now, he's gonna have to take it slow for a little bit, and who knows what the effect it has on his pace. Sam really probably wants that position back, really ready to fight for it, I'm sure. So with the distance close, he's losing a little bit of time now, but for the rest of the race, I think he knows Aaron is not immortal. He's going to make a couple of mistakes. So it's not over yet.
No, it's not over. It's never over. We're over halfway through the race, though. We've got 28 minutes and 36 seconds to go. So they are battling hard still. And Sem, you know, I mean, I said, will his tyres last 30 minutes? It appears they have lasted 30 minutes. He hasn't dropped off the race pace, although everybody's pace is dropping ever so slightly. He's still in there. He's still lapping as fast as the guys are around him, and he's still. He's still in a solid second place, and a creditable second place. He hasn't got there by other people's mistakes. He's got there by qualifying and by a fantastic start, and let's not forget that fantastic move around the outside for him to take that lead on the opening laps. And he actually managed to absorb lots and lots of pressure from Pilkington throughout the race, and it was almost inevitable that Pilkington was going to get past, but Sem did not make it easy for him. He made him work really hard for that one, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody's getting anything for free this race, that's for sure. So Aaron is going to put up a hell of a fight to keep Sam behind. And the same, of course, goes for Andreas and Bart. And for any other battle here. Yeah. It's quite interesting to see that Sam is still so close, though. We were consistently talking about how he was tough in his tires, and after 30 minutes they might explode, or 45 minutes. But he's still there, and even if the tires don't explode, you would expect some wear, you would expect some drop in pace, but no, he's been keeping it there. He's right there now. So it's quite interesting to see. Maybe the BMW also is a little bit rough on his tires.
Yeah, we just saw there Basman Mellis span in the last corner, but I don't think he's hit anything. Not sure if he was all on his own. I think he was, but he's managed to regroup and he's going again. But our attention back there. Yeah, if there's one thing I know about Sem, he seems to like proving commentators wrong. And whatever we seem to say about him in the championships, he proves us wrong. We said the Maserati was hard on the tyres. We weren't quite sure if he's had last during the race with the abuse that he's been giving them, but we're seeing him consistently close up on the back of Aaron. No matter how much drifting he does, no matter how much sideways action he's showing us, he's putting on a drift display while racing a GT4 car, and not only racing a GT4 car, battling for the lead. It's absolutely fantastic. It's an awesome performance from him, and he's really showing, you know, why don't more people use the Maserati? Are people scared, not skilled enough, not talented enough? What is it, you know? Like Kieran Vidaga, why aren't you using the Maserati?
Yeah, it's quite interesting to see Sam throw that car around and see it drift. Normally when people do that in this game, you just scoff a little bit and say, they're crazy, they just don't know how to drive the car. And then you see Sam here do all that, and he's fighting for the win here. I think it's a bit of a skill issue for most of us. Sam absolutely in tune with his car, and it's showing in his performance so far. And behind there we see Bart still behind Andreas, keeping it clean in the Aston Martin, constantly having an eye on Sam, who's battling Aaron. So the top four is still very close to each other. There's a gap of 12 seconds behind. There's going to be between these four, I think, for the whole podium.
Yeah, but if you look at the lap time sectors there, for me, that's looking like Garlin is lapping faster over the last 3 laps. He's gained a second almost on Spenkelink ahead of him. So Garlin and Zweering in 3rd and 4th place are catching our leading pair. So this could quite easily turn into a 4-way battle if they carry on as they are.
But I do see Bart looking around the car of Andreas a little bit. I think they're losing a little bit of time this lap through battling. Equally, the same can happen to Sam and Aaron. It's quite interesting how these fights mirror each other. in how people will try to find moves around the inside, around the outside. It's very tough to find a good place around the Hungaroring, except for the start finish straight. That's where most people go for it. And they both slow each other down, but simultaneously you see Aaron, Andreas, the most out with an A, starting to close up a little bit, loses some time the other few laps. I'm interested to see what the lap time is this lap. Let's have a look. That's 1:54.7, which is slower than Sam and Aaron, of course, after the battle. But it's not the end of the world. Let's put a couple more solid laps in, and eventually he might close in and fight for the win at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Kira Vidago's replied to me saying it's way too much effort to drive that for 60 minutes. Well, that just goes to show I agree with you, Kieran. It's a lot of it. As we see, look at that Spenkelink full sideways, almost looking back up the track to see where Garlin was, and really managed to hold on to that absolutely epic driving there from Sem. It'll cost him a little bit of time, but I really enjoyed watching that one. Also want to say good evening to Dave Jr. in the chat. Nice to have you on board. And yes, Sem is on a mission. Look at him. He's absolutely lighting up the track, lighting up the tyres, using all the track and a little bit more. Wow, what a fella. It's almost like he's out here, he thinks he's going to score points from drifting.
Yeah, well, maybe we should check on Sam's mirrors, because I feel like they might be broken if he has to turn the entire car around to see what's going on behind him. It's quite interesting to see how much he drifts that car and how he keeps control over it. You would think if he drifts like that he loses 2 seconds, but no, he's right there, half a second behind the leader. It's such an impressive performance by him. It feels wrong, but he's doing it right, that's for sure. And the drivers behind aren't even catching up that much.
Yeah, I mean, that's the insane thing, is that he's managing to keep that car alive, he's managing to keep the battle alive and stay close enough. I think we're turning this into the Sem show, aren't we? It's not so much of a GT4 race, it's all about Sem Spenkelink this evening, and he's been the real showman. Let's not forget everybody else on the field, and I apologise if I'm not showing everybody the battles that they're wanting to see, but there is so much going on. This is another one I'm keeping my eye on. These guys back here, Abranosa in particular, they keep yo-yoing up with the gaps, they get very close to each other and then they spread out again. De Swart on that mission, as we said, he's caught up to that 5th place, he's now challenging for that 5th place. He was in the slipstream, he's pulled out of it, he's almost alongside, and I think he is going to be alongside into the braking zone. Can the Mercedes get that lump stopped before the apex turn? He does indeed. Is the Porsche going to get the cutback? I don't think De Swart's going to let him. He doesn't indeed, and that's job done. De Swart up another position. He's made a few positions up this race. He's gained 4 positions this race so far.
Yeah, Danny De Zwart having an absolutely amazing race today, overtaking people very nicely and making it all the way up to P5 so far. His next challenge is top 4, so he's currently best of the rest, you could say. And it's interesting to see if he can find the pace somehow to close into the top 4. But the gap is 14 seconds and the race is 20 minutes. So it's gonna be really difficult for him to make it up further. And for now, he also has to worry about Peter right behind, or Peter I should say. I think he's Dutch, his team is Sim Racing Holland, so it should be Peter. And he's gonna want that position back for sure. So he's gonna keep on the pressure and try to re-overtake Danny.
Yeah, just saw Sem making a mistake there in the mid-sector. He ran really wide, lost the car. I'm not sure whether it was under power, under braking, or just lost the car in general. But he lost the car, went off the track, managed to keep it all pointing in the right direction. Luckily it was on some tarmac runoff, not the grass. But that has cost him dearly. He's over a second back now from Pilkington. So it will be interesting to see if Sem, as he uses the track in a little bit more again, has the pace now to close that 1 point, all barring a couple of thousands, 3 second gap down to Pilkington, as we're seeing in the background now. And I'm going to have to cut to it to show us. But Bart really on a mission, and he's really putting Garlin under pressure. But Garlin has been absorbing that pressure for a long time. He's really it's soaking up the BMW pressure, and he's not giving into it at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw Andres making a little bit of a mistake through the second to last corner, going a little bit wide, and Bart closing right up, but it's keeping it calm and collected, and I don't think he wants to take too many risks, but there's not too much time left in the race. We're 2/3 of the way through, only a third left. He's gonna have to start looking for a way to pass Andreas, and I think he wants to. It's gonna be difficult. Andreas still doing an excellent job. It's not far, not high up in the championship, but P3 for now. Looks to hold it, but unfortunately goes on the curb too much, and that might be all Bart needs. He goes on the inside and past Andreas, and so we see Bart taking P3 away right when the commentator was praising Andreas. Bart proves me wrong. Excellent overtake, keeping it clean through there, and unfortunate for Andreas, who's gonna want the position back and has 18 minutes to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an unlucky mistake from Garland. We were just watching on the live stream a battle in the mid-pack there, as I cut away, but then managed to just cut back to see the move completed. Yeah, Garland's not giving up. He's going to put Bart under pressure, but I think Bart might just have the pace. He's had the pace to close that gap down repeatedly during the opening 40 minutes of this race, but with 18 minutes to go now, has Garland lost that podium position? I would have put my money on Garland being on the podium this evening. The man I didn't think would be on the podium, I'll say this now, but I'm really glad that he is at the moment. The man I didn't think that would be on the podium is Spenkling. I thought he was pushing his car far too hard in the opening stint. I didn't think he'd be able to maintain that pace, but he has proved me wrong so far. Still just under 18 minutes to go, long way to go yet. Don't want to put a curse on it, but yeah, he's driving the wheels off that car quite literally this evening. But we can see Bart is opening up a gap now.
Very much underestimated Sam's mastery of the Maserati. There's a unique gift he seems to have, this unique bond with this car, being able to drive it so, well, seemingly not cleanly, but it seems to work really well for the car. Well, he lost about a second earlier and has made that second back only less than a second behind Aaron now, and Bart 2.5 seconds behind. Still having to deal with pressure from Andreas. Again, we see a car passing, but not being able to leave the battle, essentially, to really drive away and secure the position.
Yes, we're just watching Abranoza now in 9th place, pushing Vale. This is a midfield battle that's been going on for most of the race as well, and Abranoza really doing a good job to keep Vale under pressure, but he's not run out of time, but he's running out of time. He needs to push, he needs to get that position if he can. They're coming up against back markers now, even down in the midfield, so that could start causing issues, and it might allow people like Abranoza, who've been pushing hard, to maybe get that position, gain a positioning and get some more valuable championship points.
Yes, exactly. We see Bakker, Vale and Mike all really close together. They've been fighting for a while. Of course, earlier we saw Bakker and Vale collide through this corner, and well, I think Vale probably really wants the position back. He's been keeping it calm. We haven't seen him off track after a bigger crash, thankfully. Let's see if he has the pace, and let's see if Mike, what Mike can do. He's currently quite close to Sander. Seems to have a little bit of overspeed. It's not enough to pass, or is it? Looks at the inside, there's not enough speed there. Just has a really good run through turn 1. Hopes for a good exit. Unfortunately, Sander has slightly better, it seems. And through turn 3, I don't think there's anything there. It looks there, but there's nothing there. So he's going to have to wait for another lap, or wait for Sander to make a mistake, which we also have seen happen to one of the leaders earlier.
Yeah, and interestingly, talking about the leaders, there's a nice segue there as we're carrying on to watch this battle, because this is the closest battle at the moment on the track. But it's starting to settle down a little bit, dare I say it. Although saying that, Sem Spenkling's just gone through one of the sectors and he's got that gap down from what was 1.3 to 0.7. So he's definitely got the speed. He laps around about 0.2 quicker on the last lap than Pilkington. But the guys behind, Bart and Andreas, they've got a second between them as well, and 3.5 seconds off the back of Spenkling. So Spenkling's really consolidating that second place on the podium, as we just seen some side by side now as Abranoza's going round, trying to go around the outside of Vale, but Vale manages to keep the power down and pull out of that one and defend that really well.
Yeah, Mike almost pulling side by side after Sander makes a small mistake. Sander keeping it defensive, keeping it clean. It almost was a horrible collision, but they managed to keep the noses clean. It's going to be really frustrating for Mike because he seems to have the overspeed. He caught up to this back earlier when we see Sander making a mistake. Mike getting really close, but there's nothing there. He's going to want to make it happen on the start-finish straight, so let's see if he gets a good exit. Coming around the final turn, gets on the power. Will probably want to stick in the slipstream. You see Sander going all the way to the right in order to try to break the slipstream. Back to the left, tries to weave a little bit, but Mike does have some overspeed and decides to back out. I'm not sure if it was possible there, but he decides against it. Tries to have maybe a better exit here. And little snake under the grass, we see Patrick right behind. He's been catching up, I think. Patrick catching up to Mike. Sneaky bastard.
Yeah, well, let's keep it clean. I've heard Patrick call some things before, but not one of those, and definitely not a snake. But he is there in the background, and he's there ready to pounce should anything go wrong in front. You're quite right in some of what you said there. Maybe just not the description. But he's definitely trying. He's definitely pushing up. Abranosa is really on the back. He's just lost a little bit of ground to Vale at the moment, but he's keeping enough pressure on him, and just really trying to push home all the pressure he can, get that Porsche under pressure. The BMW, I'm right in thinking it does have the top end speed on the Porsche. If you can just get that better exit out of the final corner, then he should be able to complete the move on the start-finish straight. It's just all about that final exit and being close enough through that final corner. And as we can see on screen, Vale is just pulling out a little bit of a gap now. He's got it up to 7/10, and that's too much of a gap for Abranosa, I think, to close up in these final few corners. And I think Patrick is going to be on the back of Abranosa very quickly, and Abranosa is going to be concentrating on defence rather than attack very shortly.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you. We see Andreas actually trying to make a move against Bart for P3, for the podium. Fortunately, I think he decided against it, didn't quite have the overspeed. But Bart truly under pressure as Andreas almost decides to stick his nose into under the spoiler. Ooh, Bart a little bit bouncy there, and Andreas keeping it stable, but not having the overspeed to pull alongside early enough for this corner. These guys are really putting up a nice fight here. Andreas really hungry for that podium position, and Bart keeping it clean just enough after a few mistakes, just to keep that position.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really putting him under pressure. He's done well to close that gap back down, whether it was from a mistake. In fact, I think it must have been a mistake because Bart's previous lap was at 154.3, so a definite little run wide or run deep somewhere has cost Bart that little bit of time that's allowed Garlin to catch up. So it'll be a case of whether Garlin can actually hang on to the back of him now, which is looking like he's got the drive through the mid corners. He's really getting that speed out the corners and forcing Bart to defend, and the outside of this corner is going to turn into the inside for the next corner if he's got the drive out, but he didn't, and he's had to fall in behind. But he's now going to concert as Bart runs a little bit deep there, which allows Garlin to close up. Garlin's not going to attack him into this corner, but he's going to concentrate on getting a good run out of this corner, staying tight into the slipstream as close as he can get. He could do to be a little bit closer, but he's not bad that as long as he's got the drive, and he's getting the drive out there. He's hanging onto the back of that beamer, but you can see the legs of the BMW. It's just pulling away a little bit. Garlin's taking some advantage from the slipstream, but I don't think he's taking enough. He's going to brake very hard into this one, and the back of that BMW is going to get very, very large very, very quickly as they get very, very close. But Garlin just manages to keep the perfect inch or so away from the back of the BMW that he needs, but keeping Bart very honest and keeping him under pressure at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent job from Andreas to keep it clean. Very close there. Again, Bart making a couple of mistakes. A little bit overcooked it a little bit on the third to last corner into sector 3. It's a little bit unfortunate, but mistakes like that can define the race, unfortunately for him. But he's got 10 more minutes to make it happen. We are in the last 10 minutes now. Every battle that's still on the track right now, they probably want to get it done as soon as possible. And Andreas unfortunately has to wait a couple of turns to be able to make another move. And behind we see also battles again. Sander is getting close to Jordi, and Mike has dropped off a little bit, being a second behind. Who's currently defending against Patrick. And the top 4, of course, is as it is. That's the biggest battles right now, the most important battles in the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit further down the field, just to give some airtime here to some close battles. We have got Van der Linden in P14 looking at the Mercedes in front of Young, only a 10th off, and he's been there quite a lot, but he's really putting pressure on. But I'm going to cut back to the front because Sem has closed that gap down. Sem is back on the back of Aaron Martin Pilkington with just under 9 minutes to go. He's not making this easy for Aaron. He doesn't want that second spot, he wants that first spot. He wants to put the Maserati on the top step of the podium, and if he can do that, it will be the drive of the championship, because Sem has had to work for every opportunity in this race. He's really pushed that car. He's really shown a fantastic talent and an ability with that car this evening that quite clearly no one else has got out there, because nobody else has picked such a difficult car to drive. And hats off to him. Look at the way he's driving it, look at the way he's controlling it, look at the way he's throwing it around, and yet he's still sticking to the back of Aaron Martin Pilkington and not giving him any breathing space. Aaron Martin Pilkington will be sweating buckets, concentrating as hard as he can. As much as a legend as he is, I think Sem's really pushing the boundaries of what you would call a legend tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. He's right there this lap and last lap. He's really putting on the pressure in that scary Maserati to have behind you. It looks so unstable. It looks like it can crash into you in any moment. And by the way we were talking at the start, you might expect the Maserati to be driving on the metal of the tire right now instead of the rubber. But somehow Sem has kept this car in control and ready to fight even at the end. And it's paying off right now, because he's right on the back. And this entire lap he has been there. Doesn't look to let Aaron breathe at all. As we go through the third to last corner into sector 3. He's probably gonna want to close in through the hairpin corners and try to make a move into turn 1, as you would do around the Hungaroring. But Aaron, of course, legendary driver, don't count him out. It would be a bit foolish. He's currently in the lead. Sem struggling a little bit on the last corner, I think, but he goes for a later apex on the power as early as possible. I think the gap is simply too big to make up on the straight. Even we see Aaron optimizing every little bit, goes offline just to break the slipstream, tries to get Sem as far away from him as possible. I'm sure he's a very calculated, controlled driver, Aaron, but I would be scared with the Maserati behind him, and I don't think it's much different for him.
Yeah, but just look at what was on your screen, the picture-in-picture. You've got Garlin, he's closer to Bart than Spenkling to Pilkington, and he's really pushing as well. These guys, both of them, they're all pushing for that fight, to try and get one better. Spenkling wants the win, Garlin wants to be on the podium as he gets the inside, as Bart runs really wide, but Bart's going to have the inside for the next corner and gets the inside line, but Garlin gets a better run, but he's going to put himself on the outside. Dangerous place to be as they're going to enter this high-speed left-hander right now. I think he's going to have to back out of it, but he doesn't. A little bit of door rubbing there. Garlin comes off the worst, and I think that's the end of that attack for this lap. We'll have to wait and see if Garlin can close that gap down again and regroup for another battle. We've got 5.5 minutes just over left to go. I think Garlin might have one final opportunity to attack towards the end of this race.
Yeah, I think at least one, in fact. He's been really close. I think he has a little bit of overspeed right now. It's a little bit faster than Bart right now. Probably better tyres, who is to say. Just turned a little bit too early, I think, to that corner. I believe it's turn 5. And unfortunately had to back out. Kept it clean, kept it respectful. Very impressive driving from him. Yeah, I feel like we're going to see, for only 5 minutes, we're going to see plenty of battling.
Yeah, for sure. Sem's just dropped off the back of Pilkington a little bit now. He's just maybe, I don't know, I'm not going to write him off because, as I've said already, He likes to prove us wrong, as he's done so many times in this race already. But he's just dropped back a little bit, round about 7/10 off the back of Pilkington. His last lap was round about a 10th slower than Aaron's. But Garlin, he's making that time back up, hand over fist. He's almost onto the back of Bart again, and we've got 4.5 minutes now to go. And Bart's really coming under pressure from Garlin. Garlin wants that place, and you have to think, if Garlin hadn't have made that mistake earlier on, would Bart have actually got past him? I'm not sure he would. I was doing Garlin an injustice when I said I think Bart's got the speed on him, because Garlin's proven us wrong. He's got the speed to catch up and attack. I think these two are very, very closely matched.
Yeah, absolutely. And fun fact, in front of Bath there's 7 seconds of empty space, which does not reflect how this race has been going, and what the pace of these cars are. It's just through so much battling that they lose so much time, and they've been battling for a long time right now. I think Andreas has been doing an excellent job just to fight Bart, who is of course second in the championship. Oh no, I just noticed Sam has a drive-through penalty. He must have made too many corner cuts, and unfortunately that loses in the second spot, I'm afraid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that is so unfortunate.
That's devastating. I was waiting for a break there just to mention it. I saw it pop up, and that's the drifting Maserati that's just been hanging the arse end, as it were, over the track limits once too often, and it's gained him that drive through. I'm absolutely devastated for him. I don't know about you, Jesse, but that for me is devastating. I think he deserved that second place. Not quite sure if I think he didn't deserve the win on this one. He's been pushing that hard, but it is what it is. He's going to get a drive through. He's got to take the drive through. He's going to drop well down now. He'll still be in the top 10, but he's going to drop down. He's going to score some points. But Garlin, he's the man on the attack right now, and he's the man to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so devastated for Sam, man. I don't have any tissues here. I need to make a note to bring it next time. It's enough to make a grown man cry, as they say. Yeah, he's been putting up an excellent fight, and this has very much been the Sam show. He's been driving that Maserati in a way we didn't think possible. I think we've written him off 5 times already this race, and this time, the 6th time, I think is going to be definitive fatal for him. He's not going to win the race, but he's been doing an excellent job, and now we're going to have to focus on Andreas and Bart, who are not fighting for the lead, because the lead is 8 seconds away, but they are fighting for second place right now. They're both on the podium. Let's see if Andreas can get past Bart, and he's got 2 minutes to do it. I think that's roughly this lap and the next lap.
Yeah, interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I think Garlin's he's regrouping now. They're gonna go again for another lap. He's putting Bart under a lot of pressure. The thing is, they've both shown each other where they're strongest and where they're weakest, so they've had the whole race, these two, literally to weigh each other up, to consider all the options for making a move. So that I don't think there's any secrets left between them. I think it's going to have to be literally who wants it the most and who's prepared to risk the most for it, because I think that basically they've got the measure of each other, and I think it's going to be very, very difficult to work and overtake.
Yeah, I see Andres closing up, getting extremely close to Bart, as he has been for the latter half of this race.
Sem's in for his drive-through now as well, just so you know.
Yeah, it's very important. Let's not look at that too much, because we will cry. Let's instead enjoy this excellent battle that's to come with Andreas. It's going to be the last lap to make it happen. Unfortunately, he's too far behind to do it on the start-finish straight. He's gonna have to force Bart into a mistake somewhere. Does close in on the braking. Maybe even has a better exit here. I think he does, but it's not going to be enough to station overtake through turn 3. It's too far away for that. Curious to see if Bart can keep it together, as we see a backmarker taking the long way home just to keep it clean. Probably has nothing to fight for anymore. Very respectful from him. Andreas trying to keep it close to Bart. Bart keeps it so clean though. He's so concentrated. Not ready to make a mistake here and lose that position. Andreas, he's currently up into 3rd, of course, because of the penalty of Sem. This is for the 2nd spot. Bart Bart's just keeping control. He's losing a little bit of time. You see Andreas getting really close, getting really aggressive, looks for a place to overtake, but it's so hard to find, especially in sector 2 of Hungaroring, and he's running out of corners. I think currently he has like 3 corners left, but he's extremely close. Looks to be inside and falling too far away to make a move. You see Bart covering off a little bit too much maybe because he loses so much speed, but Andreas too early on the power and has to back off a little bit. Has a taste of the spoiler of Bart.
Here we go with the race winner, Aaron Martin Pilkinson, coming to the line, takes the checkered flag. Fantastic battle from him, managing to take the flag there and bring that BMW home for another win. So great drive from him.
Yes, exactly. In the championship rival, Bart takes P2. Unfortunately, Andreas not close enough to really fight him into the last few corners. Few places back, while we see Danny de Zwart coming across the line to take P4. Spankling Sam after an excellent race, unfortunately due to drive-through, fell back to P5. Excellent race anyway. Peter Vanier P6, excellent job. We see Sanderville having made the overtake around Jordi Bakker in P7. Jordi 8th and Mike staying in 9th position, having defended successfully against Patrick Vance. And then further down the grid we have P11 Harry Lewis, who has finished. James Leica, I think, P12 in the Mercedes. Tom Young P13, Frans van der Linden P14, Sjouke Vervat P15. We have Bas van Melis in P16, Colin Hines P17, Evan is P18, just coming across the finish line. Stefan in the Ginetta in P19, and we have Jan Paul Eikelenboom in the Mercedes P20. We have a very big grid. We have 31 cars.
Yeah, what a fantastic race, Jesse. I mean, what did you make of that one for your first race with Simsport Racing International GT Forza at Hungaroring? I built it up to you a little bit off air. I don't think it disappointed, did it?
Well, he didn't build it up enough, frankly. It's been an excellent race, start to finish. To see a fight like that for the lead, have it develop like that, and unfortunately, of course, with the mistakes Sam made, just one too many corner cut, had to concede the win. But it's been an excellent fight, and then for P2, of course, we have Bart and Andreas fighting the whole way through. It's been an excellent race from top to bottom, and it's been great having me here. Thank you, really.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. We're just waiting for the drivers to drop into the interview room. We will bring them down for a chat, and I'm thinking there will be some very, very tired drivers. Concentration levels have been of the highest this evening. We will also try and bring you some a replay of what happened this evening, and just to let you know where it was and where everybody panned out. But I think before we go any further, let's. Are you ready for interviewing these drivers, Jesse?
I'm more than ready. I want to see or want to hear how they feel about this race. We've got Aaron and Andreas with us here. I think Bart is coming later, but I'll start with. Let's do reverse order. P3, Aaron. Or Andreas, excuse me. You both start with an A, I got confused sometimes. Andreas Golden, I believe your surname is. Excellent race from you. Of course, you started from pole position. You did drop off a little bit. We were afraid you were going to drop off to Bart during the race after you got overtaken. But you've kept it really close. You kept battling. How was that for you? Yeah. Currently receiving any audio from Andreas, I believe.
No, he's maybe muted.
Oh, sorry. I'm not used to this. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Excellent.
Hello?
Yeah, we can you hear us? I think we are dealing with technical
I
difficulties here.
can't hear the audio. I'm sorry.
No problem.
worries.
Aaron, Martin Pilkington, are you there, buddy?
I'm here, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go-
Aaron, over to
we'll
Jesse
change the
then.
order. Yeah, we'll change the order then. We'll go from P1. Aaron, that was a great race from you. Of course, you've won it, but it wasn't for free. Tell us how the pressure from Sam was the last half of the race.
I mean, it was constant. It just never ended. Absolute respect to that guy, and I genuinely don't feel. I don't know. It feels like a hollow victory because I definitely feel like he deserved something. He deserved the win, but then he got a drive through, and I feel bad for him. Really bad for him. But I'll take the win. And yeah, that was a hairy race, man. Because I didn't have the car for it as well either. Like the aero, I didn't have the aero set up quite right. So everyone just caught me in the twisties, and it was very very scary.
Absolutely. Of course, I had to overtake Sam for that position in that slidey Maserati car. We've been talking about the car sliding so much. We thought it would be very tough on the tires. Tell us what you thought about that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that statement, and it did cross my mind that maybe I should just wait, pile the pressure, and just wait until his tires have disintegrated. There was a few instances in the first half where he was completely sideways in the first corner, and yeah, I just slammed the brakes on and wait until he corrected because it was dangerous situations, and it was always the first corner that seemed to be the most trouble for Sam. So that was definitely the overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, and shock horror then, where you finally overtake but you don't pull away, and the tires seem absolutely fine the whole way through. Then.
No, that's exactly what I thought. Oh, this is it. I can start pulling the gap. And I got to about a second, and suddenly my car stopped turning. And yeah, it was definitely hairy. And I think the most important thing for me at Hungaroring is just not to get any drive cuts or drive throughs, especially over the chicane. It's very easy to do.
Yeah, well, thank you for providing us with such an excellent battle and joining us for this interview. It's been amazing seeing your race, and I wish you all the best for the next races.
Thank you very much, guys, and keep it up with the stream production. It's absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
Yes, of course, and I don't think we have Barton here yet.
No,
And,
it's. I'm going to say it's looking like the technical issues are getting the better of the other guys. So I mean, I think Jesse, I would just round that one off. I mean, for me, that was an absolute blinding race, and I've seen so many with SRHI and now SSRI that I won't say they get better and better. I think they just maintain such a high standard of competition, of driving etiquette, of respect, of racecraft, of out and out lap pace and abilities. I just think this community is one of the best, and I think the show that gets put on, whether it be GT3s or GT4s, some of the racing out there, it is absolutely sublime, and it will take some beating in any other community. I think if you want to join us, the Discord link is in the chat. I will put one in the YouTube as well. Just join the community, see what you can do. Every ability is welcome with open arms, and you too could get on the grid with these guys and get your name mentioned on the stream as one of the guys on the podium maybe one day. But yeah, absolutely fantastic racing tonight as always, and I'm really glad to put the show on for you, Jesse, and I'm hoping that's going to make it so you do want to come back, because if nothing else you can pronounce the names.
It's my one skill. I am Dutch, therefore I can pronounce Dutch names. It's what I do. It's what I get paid for, apparently. No, but it's been an amazing race. It goes to show that it doesn't matter which cars you are in. If the drivers are skilled enough, they can put up a show for any car. And they've proven that in the GT4s today. And if it was GT3s, it would be the same, of course. So yeah, I hope if people have been watching, that convinces you to keep watching these races. Even if it's only GT4 and it's maybe less attractive than GT3 racing. We've had an amazing show today, that's completely undeniable, and I really hope to return someday and see exactly the same thing happen again, and I have good faith that will keep happening in this championship.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, all that's left for us to do is sign off, Jesse. And I've been Steve Proudly. Jesse's been leading the commentary this evening, and thank you very much to him for stepping in for Tim while Tim's been away. But Tim will be back with me next week for the GT3s, same time, same place, here on the SSRI YouTube channel, Twitch, Gridfinder Facebook, and SRHI YouTube. That's a fair mouthful, but yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to do the stream with you tonight, Jesse, and thank you everybody for watching, and we will catch you all next week. Thank you and good night.